It's easy to get stuck reaching for the same familiar fruits and vegetables, even when you know a colorful variety is key. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements don't replace fruits and vegetables, but it makes it easy to add more variety to what you already eat. With 31 ingredients that are whole fruits and vegetables, switching it up is easy because we've already taken care of the hard part. Go to balanceofnature.com and get a free fiber and spice supplement, plus 35% off your first set as a new preferred customer by using discount code POD.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Komm du norsk?
If you used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world, with lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers. Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Spotify, spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify. Rules and restrictions may apply.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, it is an enormous night. It is election night across the country and some major races with decisions coming in. Of course, in New York City, first off, Mayor Zohran Mamdani, as painful as that is to hear, he has now been elected the mayor of New York City, the biggest city in this country. And then in New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill, the Democrat, defeating Jack Ciattarelli. In Virginia, Abigail Spanberger beating Winsome Sears. It has really been a slaughter of a night, if you look at it, for Republicans. And especially the fact that New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, that is Mayor-Elect Zohran Mamdani, that is absolutely frightening and catastrophic for New York City. A socialist, not even a Democrat, a Democratic socialist, but much more socialist than Democrat, and his very extreme policies, defund the police, defund Israel. This man will be a nightmare, and the Democratic Socialists have already said they are going to basically move into the mayor's office, and this will start a troubling trend across this country. We continue with the best coverage anywhere. We have with us Ed Cox, who is New York GOP chair. Also, Tony Carbonetti, who is chief of staff to the greatest New York City mayor, Rudy Giuliani. Oh, my goodness. Rudy's probably crying tonight. And also, we have Mike Sapraicone, who, of course, ran for Senate in New York, also a great businessman and former NYPD detective. I'm sitting here, Ed, all I am thinking about for our listeners across the country, what does this mean for New York? What does this mean for the country?
Well, you know what it's about New York. New York's about picking up the garbage. So there are two
We're going to have a lot of trash now with this.
Exactly. But there are two things that the mayor has responsibility for and can handle without anyone else involved. And that is, one, public safety. The NYPD, he can do what he wants with it. And Mike Sapraicone here knows
he has
it well.
no experience in it.
Yeah, but you know what? He's going to bring in some very crazy people. He's also even talked about the Civilian Complaint Review Board. He has already said his criteria. Remember, let's not forget when he came out early, he came out and said
he's going to permit the review board to fire people
exactly,
specifically.
to discipline the cops.
Unqualified people.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike Sapraicone.
Unqualified people. Yeah. That's what he's putting in charge. But I think he has to start day one with public safety.
By the way, I don't even think unqualified people. I actually think dangerous people. And the reason I say that is when he brought up his criteria of who he wanted, this is before he brought up Jessica Tisch, who I think has done a great job. But prior to that, he said his criteria for the new NYPD commissioner, he said, I actually like Jessica Tisch the first time he threw out her name. And he said, but I like her because she cleaned up the cops. Right. He brought up dirty cops as the reason, as the priority for an NYPD commissioner as opposed to public safety. What's ahead for New York?
Well, he wasn't thinking about dirty cops when he has his detail walking around the city of New York with him for the last month and a half.
Great point.
Or
in Uganda when he had his wedding over there with all the armed guards.
Or when he made his apology on Fox News about 2-3 weeks ago.
Not even an apology.
Right. An apology is, I'm sorry for saying you guys are this, and that. That's an apology. That's what an adult does as an apology. So he has to start right off the bat with public safety. If he strikes out on January 2nd with public safety, it's all downhill from there.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Tony Carbonetti, former chief of staff to Rudy Giuliani?
I don't think he has it in him. I think he has this DSA, the socialist, that are going to help him staff his government. And I think I take him at his word. We're going to have community relations specialists, not police officers showing up. I know, God forbid, if I had to dial 911 because I was in an emergency, I don't want a community relations expert. I want a cop.
And he's going to disband the strategic response group.
Explain what
which
that
are the
is,
tough
and
guys who
explain,
can take
right.
care of Antifa. So if there's a Hamas protest, which he would love, and the Antifa comes along inside, who's going to take care of Antifa?
You're not going to send this team. The strategic team is the first team that comes up there and sorts things out. But would you mention, Tony, too? He's expecting 911 operators to make the decision.
They can't.
What are you kidding?
They can't.
Sometimes the cop on the scene can't make that determination.
What about
right
the
away.
concept where he doesn't want to do anything hand in glove with the federal government?
Right.
What does he think the Joint Terrorist Task Force does? The Joint Terrorist Task Force for the last 25 years has protected not only New York City, but the United States from numerous potential terrorist activities.
And, once after 9/11 happened, we didn't work well with the feds prior to that, right? After 9/11, that came together. And he's talking about your boot on your throat is an IDF thing. The NYPD sent detectives and officers throughout the whole world.
Yes.
And that intel's what stopped so many things that this public never even hears about. Okay? That's all over. That's going to end right away.
Yeah, and who wants to give this guy, by the way, Tony Carbonetti, who wants to give this guy, even you think about access to information, right? I mean, like even at the Trump White House, Trump has already said he's not going to give any barely federal dollars. Why would he give money to a communist?
Can I tell you something? He's not cleared.
And he's never going to be cleared.
Right.
Yes.
You are not. By the way, the head of the Joint Terrorist Task Force has top secret security clearance. The mayor does not. You don't just get it from being mayor. You need to actually go through the process.
Yeah, so who's going to want to give
that
this
process.
guy? Ed Cox, who's going to want to give
Tony,
this guy?
to your point, who just cleaned up Washington Square Park? It was the DEA and the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District, right? And
The
they
feds
cleaned
will
it
be
up.
here.
Yep. And the NYPD said, yes, we love it. And now they're going to take care of it. That's the kind of cooperation you need.
What are we
going to
do when BB comes in next year? I mean, where's
He's
that?
gonna arrest him.
Now, can you imagine that? Can you imagine him giving that order that's going to happen?
Yeah, that's a great point because he brought up that he would arrest the prime minister, the sitting prime minister of Israel. And he said, oh, yeah, I'll abide by the ICC, the International Criminal Court. Right. But it doesn't matter. He says he will arrest him. I mean, how frightening is this? That he's going to even try it, even for a stunt. You know what I'm thinking of, Tony? I'm looking at you, Tony, as we're talking. When I think of Zohran Mamdani, I think of, like, to your point, theatrics. I think of him screaming at Tom Homan. Remember when Tom Homan, Ed Cox was up there in Albany, and he was up there for a meeting on immigration. Of course, the borders are. We've had Tom on the show. And there was this guy, this no-name person at that point, screaming at the top of his lungs. I thought, get that protester out of there. Guess who it turns out to be?
You mean he didn't have that big smile on his face?
Right. It was Zohran Mamdani. So a lot of this is going to be theatrics, but he already said, let's not forget earlier tonight, you guys, there were these bomb threats that took place in New Jersey, which a lot of people were worried because people were afraid to go to the polls. They had to keep saying, no, the polls are open. They are bomb threats in New Jersey. No evidence of any tie to Trump or anybody like that. Nothing whatsoever. What does Zohran Mamdani do? Within 30 seconds, a reporter goes over and says, hey, what do you think of these bomb threats in New Jersey? Nothing to do with him. No intel or information he has whatsoever. And he starts blaming President Trump. So I say that to all of you guys. That's what we're in store for in New York City. This guy, his whole thing is going to be the nemesis of Donald Trump. How totally irrational it is, even on the most crazy instance of like the bombings in New Jersey, the attempted threats there in New Jersey. That's if it's raining, it's going to be Donald Trump's fault. If the sky is blue, it's Donald Trump's fault.
Because he doesn't know how to take responsibility. And that's what we teach our kids. You have to take responsibility for your actions. He will not take responsibility for his actions. He will pass that on to Trump, whoever else it might be. Maybe Hochul. That should be very interesting when he starts blaming Hochul for not getting his tax taxes passed.
Oh, yeah, that's
and not
true.
Getting this passed.
That's true.
What
That's gonna be
amazes me,
interesting
he
to
does
see.
not want to take responsibility for the education system here. Something that Mayor Bloomberg wrested away with from the legislature. He got mayoralty control of the school system, and he did a lot of good for it.
Well, you know what's interesting? Did you see he got endorsed by the teachers union? Let's not forget Mandani.
He wants to hand it over to the police.
Exactly.
Teachers union.
Here's the other thing. There is a principals union, a custodian union, a teachers union. There is no children's union. Those are the ones that we spend $34 billion supposedly educating, but there's no union for them. If you hand this over to the teachers union, the kids are screwed.
So he wants to cap charter schools. He wants to get rid of the gifted
kids
programs.
Are screwed.
He wants to get rid of the competitive high schools. He's going to make education for kids from K through 12 equally poor education for everyone, rather than basically having these special programs that really worked.
Well, he
no
wants
union
to make,
for the kids.
He wants to make the ex-Congressman Bowman the head of education if that happens. How? Keep in mind, when Bowman, before he pulled the alarms in Congress, he was a principal somewhere in Westchester County.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
And he made a wall of fame to Joanne Chesimar. When I was a state trooper in Jersey in 1979, every Friday night the academy would end, and you lived in the academy. It would end with pictures of Trooper Forrester, and they were black and white pictures back in 79. Pictures of Trooper Forrester's autopsy. That's what they would show to each candidate in the state police in New Jersey every Friday night before you left to show you what Joanne Chesimar did to this state trooper. And he put a wall of fame up in his school to honor her.
You're talking about Jamal Bowman.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
She
Who by
died.
the way, I want to make sure you're right. She just died.
And
she fled. Let's not
Fled to
forget.
Cuba
She fled
40
to
years
Cuba.
ago.
Right, exactly.
35, 40 years ago.
Right. And also people close to Mandani have come out, not just Jamal Bowman, but others, and praising her. I mean, that's why this is so, it's almost I say that we are in like lunacy land, you guys.
Where did it happen? When did it start? Where did we take that turn? What's that point?
And how do you turn back? That's the other thing. I mean, we're on the brink, I think, of what can only be described, I think, as an incredibly dark, incredibly dangerous place. And pray for New York. I am telling you. We're going to take a quick break, guys, here on the Rita Cosby Show. We're going to come back with the great Ed Cox. Also, we're going to have Tony Carbonetti and Mike Sapraicone and much more. We also have Miranda Devine coming up.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This shrimp and coconut sauce is divine. What's your secret?
Goya coconut milk.
How does it taste so good?
It's all in that real coconut flavor and that rich, creamy texture.
What about thickeners and added sugars?
None. Just smooth, coconutty goodness.
What can I make with it?
From curries to sweet treats like coconut flan, the possibilities are endless.
Goya coconut milk. Take your cooking to the next level. No question about it. Find it in the Goya section of your local grocery store. If it's Goya, it has to be good.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. New players, new games, new rules. Squid Game, The Challenge returns for a gripping second season. 456 contestants from all walks of life, competing in the ultimate test of strategy, alliances, and endurance. For a life-changing prize of $4.56 million. With stakes this high, why make friends when you can make millions? Watch Squid Game, The Challenge Season 2, now playing only on Netflix.
This is the Rita Cosby Show. Breaking news.
And let's go to Mayor-Elect, as painful as that sounds, Zohran Mamdani of New York City. He is speaking now.
You showed that when politics speaks to you without condescension, we can usher in a new era of leadership. We will fight for you because we are you. Or as we say on Steinway, ana minkum wa ilaykum. Thank you to those so often forgotten by the politics of our city who made this movement their own. I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas. Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties. Yes, aunties. To every New Yorker in Kensington and Midwood and Hunts Point, know this. This city is your city, and this democracy is yours too. This campaign is about people like Wesley, an $11.99 organizer I met outside of Elmhurst Hospital on Thursday night. A New Yorker who lives elsewhere, who commutes 2 hours each way from Pennsylvania because rent is too expensive in this city. It's about people like the woman I met on the BX33 years ago, who said to me, I used to love New York, but now it's just where I live. And it's about people like Richard, the taxi driver I went on a 15-day hunger strike with outside of City Hall, who still has to drive his cab 7 days a week. My brother, we are in City Hall now. This victory is for all of them, and it's for all of you. The more than 100,000 volunteers who built this campaign into an unstoppable force. Because of you, we will make this city one that working people can love and live in again. With every door knocked, every petition signature earned, and every hard-earned conversation, you eroded the cynicism that has come to define our politics. Now, I know that I have asked for much from you over this last year. Time and again, you have answered my calls. But I have one final request. New York City, breathe this moment in. We have held our breath for longer than we know. We have held it in anticipation of defeat. Held it because the air has been knocked out of our lungs too many times to count. Held it because we cannot afford to exhale. Thanks to all of those who sacrificed so much, we are breathing in the air of a city that has been reborn. To my campaign team, who believed when no one else did, and who took an electoral project and turned it into so much more, I will never be able to express the depth of my gratitude. You can sleep now. To my parents, Mama and Baba, you have made me into the man I am today. I am so proud to be your son. And to my incredible wife, Rama, Hayati, there is no one I would rather have by my side in this moment and in every moment. To every New Yorker, whether you voted for me, for one of my opponents, or felt too disappointed by politics to vote at all, thank you for the opportunity to prove myself worthy of your trust.
And we're going to go to a quick commercial break now. You have been listening to Zohran Mamdani praising his parents. Let's not forget his father is the one who was praising suicide bombers. Boy, New York City is in for a rough haul with this guy winning tonight.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana.
Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana. You don't technically need this car. You say that out loud to yourself. You say, I have no space. You say, I'm just looking. Then you click. Then you zoom in on photo number 87 and whisper, oh no. Then you text a friend, the one who always enables you. You say to yourself, this is the last one, knowing it is not. You don't need this car. But maybe, just maybe, this car needs you. Bring a trailer. It's never just a car.
Hey there, it's Dr. Sanjay Gupta with some exciting news to share. CNN is now streaming. That means you can read, watch, and stream everything in one subscription. You can watch news live 24/7. You can also explore catch-up videos and explainer videos, and you can also watch a library of CNN's originals, including my latest documentary, It Doesn't Have to Hurt. Just go to cnn.com/all access.
Running a business comes with a lot of what ifs, but luckily there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Rita Cosby is on. Breaking news.
And we are back here on the Rita Cosby Show on this historic night. And not necessarily for the better, for sure, especially the fact that a radical extremist, Zohran Mamdani, an Islamist, someone who has been a defund the policer, someone who has gone after Israel, someone who has gone after Italians. The list goes on and on and on. And now he has been elected, beating Andrew Cuomo. The latest numbers coming in, it's about 90% or so coming in so far. Mandani, 50.4%, Cuomo, 41.6%, and Curtis Sliwa at 7%. And we have with us right now Mike Sapraicone, former NYPD detective. Also, we have Ed Cox, New York GOP chair. And let's go right now if we could, to Mike Sapraicone. Go ahead, Mike, your thoughts tell us the numbers that you got.
So at 97%, and right now, Mandani had 1,034,350 votes. Cuomo, 853,106 votes. And Sliwa, 145,880 votes. Adams.
Wait. Go back to that again. Read me the numbers again for everybody again.
1,034,350 votes for Mamdani. That's 51%. That's with 97% of the precincts in. Cuomo, 853,106 votes. And Sliwa, 145,880 votes. Adams, 6,365 votes. So what do you got there? You got 1,009,000.
Close to
two.
Almost two.
What we were saying.
Two, exactly,
right,
exactly. And maybe at the time it's done, it might be, somewhere. Your thoughts about, Ed, when you hear these numbers?
These are historic numbers. They are almost 50% of the registered voters, which is a tremendous.
5.4, I believe it is, or 5.2. Is that right in New York?
Five something.
Yeah, 5 something in New York. Exactly.
But you're getting close to half of that,
which is great. I mean, that's good to see. I just wish the results were better. I mean, this is frightening. Absolutely frightening, Ed, what's in store. And just listening to Mandani saying, we're kind of coming out of the shadows. This is a moment. Breathe in this moment. And then he thanks his parents And again, I keep thinking of his crazy father who was supporting suicide bombers, who was saying they weren't that bad, Ed.
All of his proposals did not make sense, and they've been proven not to work. He wants to build another little NYCHA.
Right.
For $70 billion.
Right, the housing
it's going to
authority.
cost, if he wants to build 200,000 units, it's going to cost double that.
Free buses.
$140
Free.
billion. And we know what happened to NYCHA.
Yes.
It doesn't work.
It was a
but
disaster.
That was his big proposal to take care of affordable housing. It doesn't make sense. You can go through each one of his proposals, and they do not make sense.
The question is, will he implode?
This was an election based on charisma and the weakness of the Democratic Party of common sense, which we used to know.
Well, and I think there were a lot of mistakes. Again, I keep saying he split the vote. I know you disagree, Ed Cox, but Mike Sapraicone, there was a splitting of the vote. You had Mandani going up against Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa, and you had, Cuomo had a lot of flaws too. So it wasn't a perfect race, and yet we have this absolute extremist who is now going to be in the mayor's office. Mike Sapraicone.
Oh, it's kind of hard to believe, and we spoke about it all night. It's very disappointing. We have to live with the cards that we were dealt. Okay, this is a resilient city. As far as I'm concerned, I know, Chairman, you too. We start looking forward to what we're going to do in the governor's race next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Boy, do we need it. Let's go to Miranda Devine, because we have Miranda Devine who's going to join in the conversation with Ed Cox and also Mike Sapraicone. Miranda, first of all, your thoughts tonight. We have not talked to you. This is a disaster for New York, a disaster for America.
Yes. Hi, Rita and Ed and Mike. Look, it is, but I think we should take some perspective from the fact that we lived through the de Blasio days. And honestly,
Miranda, I'm going to beg to differ. And I hear what you're saying. The only reason I'm saying this is different. This guy, and Mike is shaking his head and agreeing with me, this guy is such a true believer, a true fanatic. De Blasio definitely made an enormous amount of mistakes. He lost the faith clearly of the NYPD, who turned their backs on him at the funeral and elsewhere. But this guy is the defund the police, the virulent anti-Semitism that we're hearing, the praising the suicide bombers from the father, the hanging out with Hassan Piker, who famously said not that long ago that America deserved 9/11. And then let's not forget the crazy imam who was the co-conspirator in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. This guy, to me, is a whole new breed. And I think it's really frightening. That's what's so scary. And I know you understand that all too well, Miranda.
Yes, look, I'm not downplaying the threat, but I'm just saying that this is the way that the Democratic Party has been going for some time. And if you talk about defunding the police, $1 billion was stripped out of the NYPD already during the pandemic. So this is just going to be Mamdani. He's newly invigorated. He's pretending that his election, he just told us, is New York is going to be the light. And he means that they're going to lead the rest of America down this torturous trail to socialism, communism, really, as Donald Trump said. And really, I think we're all suffering because, as you have said, the Democratic Party is not able to get its act together. It is going through a silent civil war. It's only silent because the media refuses to even acknowledge that it exists. And it's a battle between the energized radical youth wing and the gerontocracy of the Democrat establishment. And they've put out there now in Virginia and New Jersey their sort of conservative coded veteran women, a CIA woman and a Navy pilot woman that's their sort of last gasp. That's their window dressing to pretend to their voters that it's still a normal party and you can have these lovely women. They're just as radical in effect because all their policies are so anti-human. They're all can only be arrived at through coercion. And it is a path to ruin.
And by the way, Mikey Sherrill, too, let's not forget, she was one of the first ones to embrace Mamdani, just as you said. You're right.
She's the Navy pilot, and Abigail Spanberger in Virginia, both victorious as governors, She's the CIA, the ex-spook. So it's a bad situation all around. But we know that the Democrats are terrible. And I think there is good news in this because, A, it strengthens the arm for Elise Stefanik or a Republican governor in New York. You know, when Cuomo was governor, he was the one that opened the door to cashless bail, etc. He pretended when he was running this time, that lackluster campaign, that he was running from the right as a kind of a proper moderate. But no, he wasn't. When he governed as a leftist, I think because he wanted to, at least at the end of his term, because he wanted to become president. So all of that is good news that we'll have a sensible Republican who will handcuff Mamdani. And then, you know, in terms of galvanizing Republicans and stiffening the spines of the spineless ones, I think this is just going to make Donald Trump redouble his efforts to get the filibuster overturned. And I know that's, you know, it's not the right thing to do in a previous life, but now when we are playing on rules that Democrats have overturned and rewritten, we can't be playing by the old Marquis of Queensberry rules.
Miranda, you're talking about some really powerful stuff because you also triggered, and Ed Cox is here too as well. And I'm thinking about Trump in particular. I'm waiting to see. In fact, Trump just put out, and so it begins. That was a post that just came out saying, and so it begins. Obviously, he has been very much watching the race here, needless to say, in New York. Certainly, he was trying to do whatever he could to pull some Curtis Sliwa voters to go over to Cuomo, seeing that Cuomo was so far ahead of Sliwa in the polls. Obviously, the results bore that out, too, as well. But he also said a powerful thing that if a communist gets into New York, he said he is not going to want to give federal dollars because he believes it'll be wasted, that this guy's going to have such ridiculous excesses and frivolous and not well-intentioned policies that he doesn't think American taxpayers should foot the bill. What do you see as ahead, Miranda? And I am also curious to get Ed's thoughts, too, in terms of where this is headed with the war between, this is going to be a war royale. I mean, already earlier today, there was the bomb threats in New Jersey. And what does Zohran Mamdani do? He blames Trump. It had nothing, of course, to do with Trump. I say the sky is raining. He'd blame Trump. But he's clearly positioning himself as sort of the guy who's going to try to take on Trump in New York City, the Democratic socialist, extremist Islamist. And then you're going to have Trump who's saying, not on my watch. So where is this going, Miranda?
Well, I look at Mamdani tonight and I just think pride goeth before a fall. He's very cocky. He's very arrogant. He has no idea what he's doing. And he's brought himself a world of trouble. And I think that what we're going to see is that there's going to be a huge point of contention between New York City, now run by Mamdani, and the federal government when it comes to illegal migration. And Mamdani has vowed to double down on the sanctuary city laws. And what that is doing is it's hurting the very working class that he pretends that he is championing. He's not doing that at all because the illegal migrants come here, they get free everything, and that therefore they're able to work for slave wages, and therefore they push out working New Yorkers from jobs. And those same New Yorkers can't get the same welfare benefits that are so easily available to these illegal migrants. So from square one, his sanctuary city obsession is going to cripple his mayoralty, and that's my prediction.
The problem is you can do a lot of damage in the meantime, and I agree. I think he is going to be a disaster for New York. The fear we all have, and I'm looking at Ed Cox and also Mike Sapraicone, you can do a heck of a lot of damage with his radical, crazy policies, and he has telegraphed who he is. He hasn't even sugarcoated it. Now he is about to be the mayor, and you can do a lot of damage. You understand New York very well, my friend.
Yes, but New York is a tough city. It is a blue-collar city. I still have faith that it will be able to survive even Mandani. And I see that the Democratic Party at war with itself, and the radical left has won. I cannot think of one leader, including those who were elected governor in New Jersey and Virginia. They're not leaders for the party. The leader of the party is now AOC, and it is Zohran Mamdani, and it's also the grandfather, of course, is Bernie Sanders. That's the leadership of the party, and it's a party that's completely out of step with what America's about and what New York City is about, so they are bound to failure. And this is a chance for the Republican Party to really become the majority party in the country. But we have to hold on to the MAGA base, if you will, to the working people of this country. We cannot let them be misled by the very sweet words of people like Mandani and AOC.
And Mike Sapraicone.
Well, I think, Chairman, exactly what you said. But now, as Republicans and conservatives, it's our job over the course of the next year to build and unify right here in New York State in order to turn this state red. And there's a great opportunity for us here. And I think if we don't do it this time, I think there'll be a lot of problems down the road. And I think we're primed for that. And I think we're ready for that.
By the way, I want to also read a comment that I just saw. Bernie Sanders, of course, king of the left wing, is obviously praising Mamdani's win. He just put out a tweet saying it is one of the greatest political achievements he believes in modern history. And he highlighted the fact, Ed, that we've all talked about, that Mamdani started at 1%. Came out of nowhere. Suddenly all this money came in, and I know he's being investigated by Department of Justice to win now the biggest city in America.
Obama is responsible for the left taking over the party because he frustrated Bernie Sanders from becoming the candidate, the nominee of the party after he won Iowa. He won New Hampshire. He should have been the nominee of the party. He would have been defeated.
That's right. They blocked him out.
And they blocked him out. And instead, they got Biden, who Obama must have known he was Gaga. He was known as the dumbest guy in the U.S. Senate, and he obviously had failed on every major foreign policy issue to that time. So the leadership of the party failed, and the Bernie Sanders people took over. But they are not in step with the people of New York City or the people of the country. In the end, we have to pull together the coalitions that we need as Republicans in order to win back here in New York and all across the country.
By the way, I want to read a statement too. This is Mandani calling out Trump in his speech. As I say, he has cojones. So he came out here as in his victory speech, and he said, so Donald Trump, actually, we have the audio, actually. I just understand. Let's play it. Here it is. Here's Mandani.
So, Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
And then he went on about how the city has become unaffordable, but that's guts. Miranda calling out, here he is praising his parents. He brought up the ante, of course, with that whole 9/11 story. And then he calls out Donald Trump. This guy is going to be an in-your-face mayor. Your thoughts, Miranda?
Well, I mean, that's what his voters wanted. And, everything comes down for them to Trump. He tried to, during the campaign, make Trump an issue. Democrats don't have anything real. Like, even his policy prescriptions are so childish and kind of miniature, like free buses and a free grocery store in every borough. They're ridiculous. The free childcare for all is big, but, I mean, he'll never get it done. And so all they really have is opposition to Donald Trump. And some of the exit polls showed that across the country that was a big driver, and there were a lot of women who voted, inordinately more than men for the Democrats. And so I think this is the division that we've seen since the beginning of the Trump era. And this is the Democratic Party finally trying to come to grips with Trump's sort of runaway populism. And it was always, I think, during, Bernie Sanders sort of had the left-wing populism, the sort of mirror image of MAGA. And he was cheated by the Democratic Party out of winning any primaries. And so when you do that, just as Donald Trump was cheated out of winning in 2020, when you cheat people, what happens is you get unintended consequences.
Yep,
and this is what's happened to the Democratic Party. They've got Zohran.
Yep. Boy, is it a mess. And it's a mess for New York. Miranda, thank you. We love you. Thank you for joining us so much, my friend. Thank you. And everybody, we're going to go to a break.
It's the Rita Cosby Show. Breaking news.
And tonight has been a very historic night, but a difficult night, I think, for America. Again, Democrats winning the Virginia governorship, the lieutenant governorship, also the attorney general spot there. Also in New Jersey, Democrat Mikey Sherrill beating Jack Ciattarelli. Everybody thought that would be close. It was not. And of course, New York City now will be in the hands of an Islamic extremist. Many people believe this is the dangerous politician, the most dangerous one in America, now taking over New York City. Ed Cox, real quick, your final thoughts.
We got to do our best to protect New York under Mamdani's governance here, and we have to do everything we can to do that. But meanwhile, build up the opposition.
And your thoughts, Mike?
I agree. Quick. We need to be strong now. We need to stick with the police and public safety, and we need to build for next year.
Yeah, boy, oh boy, we got to fortify New York. Everybody out there, pray for New York. I can't believe it's going to be Mayor Zohran Mamdani. And let's pray that Elise Stefanik throws her name in, and at least there'll be some guardrails. Let's pray.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
It's easy to get stuck reaching for the same familiar fruits and vegetables, even when you know a colorful variety is key. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements don't replace fruits and vegetables, but it makes it easy to add more variety to what you already eat. With 31 ingredients that are whole fruits and vegetables, switching it up is easy because we've already taken care of the hard part. Go to balanceofnature.com and get a free fiber and spice supplement, plus 35% off your first set as a new preferred customer by using discount code POD.